We've scoured far and wide in Football Manager to try and find some of the most overpowered wonder kids in the game. We'll be looking at those players that have great attributes that really suit this year's match engine, whether that's pace, strength, or a few others that we're going to cover in today's video. So with that being said, let's get into the first player in our team of 11. And we start off with one of the more well-known players in this list with our goalkeeper, Dennis Seaman. Now with the players in this video, I have tried to pick ones you might not know too much about. We've tried to avoid the obvious ones. We know Lamine Yamal's good, we know Endrick's good, we know Diamonde's good, so we've tried to steer clear of those. Seaman is also one of the youngest players in this list at 17. Most of them will be 18, 19, 20 because I have tried to avoid those young players. If you don't know, the younger players in Football Manager, 16, 17-year-olds, tend to have some randomised attributes in the game because Sports Interactive don't know how good they're going to be. Sometimes when you load up a save, they will look completely different to how they might look in another save, which means that we can't really call them overpowered if I'm saying, yeah, he's really fast and he's got great strength, and then in someone else's save, he doesn't have that. So we've tried to avoid that, but Seaman is our goalkeeper. The reason for that is, well, the goalkeeping options aren't great in any Football Manager, and this year is the same, but Seaman is a player that within a couple of years will more than likely be starting for his club Stuttgart, or will have moved on to an even bigger club. Near enough always, he becomes a regular goalkeeper for his team, and that can't be said for most Wonderkid keepers this year. For £10 million, you get a player with great attributes who's 6'4", with great jumping reach, and also using the in-game editor, I have checked his hidden attributes, and he does seem to have some great consistency too. That's going to make sure on a regular basis in your game he plays at a top level and performs just as an overpowered goalkeeper should do. So yes, Dennis Seaman is our goalkeeper pick, but now let's move on to the more exciting positions. Before we move on to our second player, I'd massively appreciate it if you could smash the like button for us, show your support here to the FM Scout channel. We do daily Football Manager content, so if you like these kind of videos, tutorials, or Wonderkid showcases, and even tactics, then make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Finally, comment down below your favourite overpowered Wonderkids because we might feature them in a future video, but let's get on to player number 2. Moving into defence, at left back we've got Kazem Karakas, whose name I've probably butchered the pronunciation of, but he is a player playing for Galatasaray as a breakthrough prospect as a left back. Now he is a 6-foot defender who is very well rounded in his physicals, and if you don't know, physicals in this year's Football Manager tend to take a player a long way, and one of the best ones you can have is pace and acceleration. Now his acceleration is only at 12, but he has 16 pace combined with decent strength as well and jumping reach. There's no real flaw in his physical game. Combine that with some great mental attributes and technicals that allow him to go forward and defend at a decent level. On top of that, you can throw in the long throw attribute, and I did not mean that pun, but yes, he has got great long throws, so if you're after someone who can do that action, I don't know why I'm actually demonstrating to you how a throwing goes, then Karatas here could be a good pick. He's not super well known, and for about 5 million, he is pretty available from Galatasaray, joined a couple of years ago and has played a bit of first team football, and it won't be long before he becomes a regular in their first team, but with Angelino there at the minute, he might be someone that you're able to sign quite early on. At centre back, we have a physical monster, a 19-year-old by the name of Ariel Amenda, a Swiss under-21 international. He's playing for young boys in the Swiss league and can be picked up for about 8 million. Yes, he's not the best when it comes to the modern day ball playing side of being a defender, but he's got 14 heading, 15 tackling, but the main thing, the reason why I've picked him in this video, he doesn't have potential like some of the other players in this list, but he's 6'4" with 17 strength, 16 jumping reach. He's got good balance as well, and he is no slouch with 14 pace and 12 acceleration. If you are after a physical monster in defence, then Amenda could be the man for you. With decent levels for consistency and important matches as well, he is someone that you should be able to rely upon on a regular occasion, but he is a starter now for the young boys team. Within a few years, the big clubs will find out about him and try and sign him, so make sure you're keeping an eye on him, scout him. If he turns out good in your save, he could be a great pickup for you. And he is partnered in defence by Zeno De Bast, who is now an international player for Belgium at only the age of 19, playing for Anderlecht. He's a bit more pricey at 20 million, and he doesn't have great physical attributes like the last player we looked at. The reason that De Bast is great is because if you're after a more modern day ball playing style of defender, outside of Diamonde, De Bast is the best out there for me when it comes to that ball playing side. With 15 passing at such a young age, you're going to see that go to 16, 17 as his career progresses. 13 vision, 13 technique, he can tackle and mark well. He is a defender that can play out the back, and whilst he isn't the quickest or strongest, he isn't terrible in those areas, but I've picked him purely because of that ball playing ability. If that's what you want in your team, then there's only a few better picks than Zeno De Bast out there, and he's only 19 years of age. If you're looking for a player with all-around ability, then Michael Kayode of Fiorentina will be the right back that you want to sign. I've done a few rebuilds over on my channel where we haven't signed him, but I've seen him go to Barcelona, to Real Madrid, to Bayern Munich, to Man City, and become a player worth 70, 80 million pounds. He is that good, and there's a reason for it. We'll talk about that in a second, but just to let you know, if you do want to check out those rebuilds, you can find them on my channel linked in the description down below. Any support over there will be massively appreciated. We're trying to push for 30,000 subscribers right now, so any help towards that goal would be amazing, trying to get there before the new year, so thank you to anyone who does that. But yes, the big strength about Kayode here is that he is just fantastic in every single aspect of the game. He has no real weak points at the age of 18, and for 20 million he can grow in to one of the world's best. Can also play on the left hand side should you need him to, but physically he is dominant with 15 acceleration, 13 strength, 14 pace, jumping reaches there as well, the agility, the balance. He works hard, he's got great work rate for a right back. That's exactly what you want from a modern day defender. 13 crossing, 13 dribbling. He can tackle just as well. Once again, I have checked, and his consistency in important matches, hidden attributes that you can only see with the editor, are at a good level too. So there's a lot going for Kayode here, and in most saves he will become the best right back in the world. Next we go for a midfielder who is attracting the attention of so many of the big clubs in world football currently, and one of the younger stars in this list is Gabriel Moscardo. In real life, a lot of the European giants out there are trying to sign him, and you can see why. At the age of 17, he is already shaping up to be an elite level anchor, halfback, defensive midfielder. Playing for Corinthians, in the game he's a breakthrough prospect who can be picked up for about 10 million, who's 6'1", with great physical attributes for a 17-year-old. They will develop massively over the next few years. If you don't know, between the ages of 16, 18, a player's physical attributes will develop the most, and Moscardo is in a perfect position here where everything is at a high level already. Combine that with some really well-rounded mental and technical attributes. He's got everything going for him. He's not really lacking in any particular area of his game, which says a lot about a 17-year-old. He's got such a great base set of attributes to build from, and it means in most of your saves he will be an elite level player, an overpowered player. If you're looking for someone to play this position, there aren't many better than him. With 14 marking, 13 work rate, he can tackle, pass, also has great heading ability. He's got good first touch and dribbling as well. The mentals are there, like I mentioned earlier. The fact that every single one of them is 11 or higher goes to show you just how good of a prospect Moscardo could be at full growth. Pairing with the Brazilian in midfield is one of my favourites of both this year's Football Manager and last year's. He's someone that features regularly on the rebuilds on my channel. It is Schalke's Assan Udo, and there's lots of things going for this man. Firstly, he's a 6'3" midfielder who's versatile and can play central midfield or attacking midfield. Really, I think he's great as a box-to-box or as a Mazzala on the attack duty. Now, yes, he's great technically going forward. Yes, he's great mentally. Yes, he's only 17, but there's a few other things that really make him special. Firstly, he is a 6'3" midfielder with great physical attributes that develop into some of the best in world football. In my rebuild with Union Berlin, we signed him and he was 6'4", one of the world's best midfielders, and his physical attributes were all at 15 or higher, showing you just how special this guy can be at full growth. But on top of that, I've also done a Schalke rebuild on my channel where we had a Drago as our own player, and if you don't know, Schalke will be forced into administration in season 1, and by about January of the first season, they'll be forced to kind of accept any bids that you send in for their players. Obviously, if you send them £10,000 for the Drago, they won't accept it, but it tends to be, even though £8 million would be a bargain here, you could get him for half of that price in your first season. If you keep an eye on him, if you keep scouting him, there's a good chance he will be available for that cut price fee. It won't always happen, the administration, but when it does, you can get him for super cheap. Obviously, that isn't a factor when it comes to calling someone overpowered, but it does definitely help. And on top of that, yes, he is amazing physically, amazing mentally, and a brilliant player technically that will go on to be one of the best midfielders in your save, like a Pogba regen with the physical presence in that midfield. And then we have one of the most underutilised players in this list. It's Moritz Kjærgaard, a Danish 20-year-old playing for RB Salzburg. In some saves, I've seen him move to Barca. Here he's wanted by Forest and Wolves, and there's a reason a lot of people avoid him. He's a 6-foot forward with great physical attributes, but he only has 9 finishing. But the game seems to suggest he should be a striker or maybe even a number 10. I would argue that wouldn't be best for him. If you look, he's also a decent passer who can tackle well, so I would argue that you could even move him back and retrain train him as a Mazzala, or maybe yes, you could use him as that shadow striker and just accept his low finishing, but he is definitely someone that can tear the in-game match engine up, because not only is he quick, but he is super strong and he is 6'4" as well. 16 strength, 16 jumping reach, 14 pace and acceleration combined with natural fitness, balance, the agility is also there at a decent level, his mental attributes are strong, and technically he's got so much going for him, whether it's running past a player and dribbling, whether it's winning the ball in the air, whether it's set pieces or passing a ball through, he has got the lot. He can hit a long shot as well, and he is such a good player that a lot of people, including myself, when you first look at him, you think, oh, there's no way he can be a striker. Well, let me tell you, he definitely can be a striker, even with that 9 finishing, but if you move him a little bit further back in your team, either as a number 10 or a central midfielder, you'll get some top performances out of a player that's only going to cost you about 15 million quid. Moving into our attack now, we have my favourite player in this whole list. It's Ernest Nuama. He's on loan at Lyon, playing for one of their affiliate clubs out in Belgium, RWB Molenbeek. Now, one of the things I love about him is a few years into your save, he will usually become a free agent. But much like with Odrego, we're not really going to factor that in when we talk about him being overpowered. The thing that makes him so talented in game is the electric pace, agility and acceleration, which in the in-game engine can absolutely destroy any opponent that he comes up against. Combine that with 16 dribbling, 15 first touch and 16 technique, 13 passing and 12 finishing as well. The Ghanaian is an absolute superstar who really made his name for Nordsjælland a season or so ago, but if you put him in your team, he will absolutely dominate off the left or off the right. I tend to like him coming in as an inside forward on that right side or as an out-and-out winger on the left. He is a left-footed player who likes to cut inside from the right wing. With that trait, I definitely think he should be an inside forward on the attack duty, but he is phenomenal in game. That pace, the acceleration, he is going to be a defender's nightmare. A man that looks far older in his picture than he actually is, this is Tomaso Banzi, who looks like a 29-year-old Italian stalwart of the game, but he's actually a 20-year-old playing for Empoli, valued at £12.5 million, wanted by some of the biggest clubs in world football. And what I love about him is Shadow Striker this year as a role in Football Manager seems to be so powerful, and he is almost a perfect player for that role. Physically, he's very well rounded already. He's also got 15 agility, 14 acceleration and 13 pace. Combine that with some good mental attributes, and really where he stands out is these technicals, where he's got 14 passing and 15 technique. Combined with that 15 vision and the work rate, he is going to be an elite level creator for your team. And then you combine that with the fact he can hit a long shot, finishing that a striker could potentially dream of, first touch and dribbling also at a very high level. For a player of this age, at this value, he is almost a no-brainer. If he was playing for Real Madrid, he'd be a 60-70 million pound player, and he has great potential in game too. So if you haven't checked out the Italian, he'd be a really good pickup for your saves. But we finish off with our striker, who has been a legend in FM over the last couple of years. It's Kareem Canate, who seems to get better and better. He is now a regular starter for Salzburg. They've been a great platform for strikers like Sesko and Haaland to showcase themselves in the last few years. Canate looks like the next one on that conveyor belt of stars coming through with 17 acceleration and 16 agility. He is super quick, 15 pace as well. He is going to dominate any defenders when it comes to the pace side of things. He's great mentally and has 14 finishing too. The other technicals you can kind of forget about because he is just so quick. He's going to break the line and he's going to finish well. He's a brave, aggressive forward, and if you can get his decision making and his composure up a little bit, he is going to be a prolific scorer. He usually is for Salzburg, and I've seen him move to the likes of Liverpool in a few of my rebuilds and become one of the best strikers in the world. So for 15 to 18 million, you can really get an absolute star here. And when it comes to someone being OP in game, Kareem Canate fits the bill. Put that pace against most defenders and he will absolutely storm it. Like I say, the physical attributes this year in FM can really take over in the in-game engine. But there we go. That's a team of 11 of the most overpowered wonder kids in the game. Let me know your favourites in the comments down below, and we can make a full team of those in a future video of your guys' suggestions. Don't forget to smash the like button if you did enjoy, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.